Okay, my next one is one you guys don't think I'm guessing you probably never heard of before. I hadn't heard of it until I went into. I heard about it 10 years ago. I got into a whole big thing about examining the movies of 1970, that the year 1970, and I've kind of made it a point to try to watch as many movies from that year as I possibly could, and not just American movies from like all over the world, just to look at cinema at that year. And I discovered a film that I thought was really, really terrific for a lot of different reasons. One, it's a good movie, but also for a few other aspects of it. But one of the things about that year was that was a year that a lot of directors, a lot of the old world Hollywood directors had made their last movies. And many of them don't work, all right? Whether it's William Wyler's The Liberation of L.B. Jones, which I kind of appreciate. I don't think it really works, but there's a part of it that to me does work. I'll talk about what I can defend about it later. But Liberation of L.B. Jones, George Stevens, the only game in town. But one director is the director Anatole Litvak, who's done all kinds of movies. He did Confessions of a Nazi Spy with Edward G. Robinson. He did the original Mayerling with Charles Boyer in France. He directed for I think he did Anastasia. He directed for years and years and years and years and years. His last movie is a British thriller based on a French novel with one of the best titles of all time. The title is called A Girl in a Car with Glasses and a Gun. It sounds like a Claude Lelouch movie. It sounds like a movie that would be on the marquee of a theater in a Claude Lelouch movie.
I love
that. And it stars Samantha Eggar and Oliver Reed.
Oh, okay.
And it's a story about Samantha Eggar is Oliver Reed's secretary, and I believe it's the kind of story I want to play down the plot synopsis a little bit, because part of it is kind of watching it unfold. But the idea is that she's Oliver Reed's secretary, and her job is to I think drive his car from one area of France to another. And in the course of her trip, she just decides to, kind of go on a little existential journey of her own, because she has the weekend. She decides, as opposed to doing what she's supposed to do by just dropping the car off, she just decides to take a road trip, during the weekend. And that leads to a really mysterious situation. She meets this kind of weird guy on the road, and he seems kind of shady, and it just it becomes this kind of weird genre thing. Now, what's interesting, and it's a mystery, and then finally it's all eventually revealed later in one of those really kind of cool where the character now tells you everything that you've watched, and now you see the entire movie again from this different perspective that explains everything that's happened up until this point in time. But it's very much playing with genre. I mean, even the title makes that clear. A girl in a car with glasses and a gun. These are the elements in the movie that they're dealing with. Now, in the book, it's obviously almost kind of meant to be a meta reference to kind of pulp fiction kind of paperback kind of idea, kind of like, it knows it's a pulp fiction paperback, and it's kind of playing with that idea. But what's really, really interesting, especially compared to how completely, how obvious a lot of these, especially Anatole Litvak, who was making movies in the 30s, how out of touch a lot of these directors seem by that time. You have to remember, A Girl in a Car with Glasses and a Gun came out the same year as Bird with the Crystal Plumage.
Yeah.
So that's Dario Argento's first film. And with that film, and the titles almost are, they both have that same kind of ironic, poetic, pulpiness about them. But as we all know, that's the film that officially started the giallo genre. So Argento, a young director, starts the giallo genre with Bird with the Crystal Plumage. A Girl in a Car with Glasses and a Gun is pretty much a giallo. It's like they're very, the plot lines, but they're very similar. They're like, if it came out the next year, it would be considered a giallo. If it was directed by an Italian director, it would absolutely be considered a giallo. So the idea of a young director like Argento starting this new genre, this new type of murder mystery, this new type of horror film, it's all about it's about the newness and the hipness of it all. And then a director who's been making movies since the 30s is making his last movie, and it fits into that progressive kind of thing. There's nothing old about it at all. It's so fresh. It's so much fun. When I did a festival, I did a screening of a bunch of 70s movies, movies from 1970, at a festival called Lyon, which it's run by the people who do the Cannes Film Festival, but it's for classic cinema. And I put on a double feature, A Girl in a Car with Glasses and a Gun and Bird with the Crystal Plumage on the same double feature. And both movies played like gangbusters together. They played great.
Nice.
And I think it's one of the finds of the, it was one of the ones I wanted to introduce on this podcast of all of them, because that's the one I think most people don't know about. No, but because now actually Columbia made it. Columbia has a print, but I've never actually. I've always wanted to make a big deal of it, so we've never shown it at the New Bev. But Columbia does have a print. But actually, I'm dealing with Sony right now about re-releasing it on Blu-ray. And they actually did because it's based on a French novel. They actually did a French remake of it about 6 or 7 years ago.
Crazy.
Which I've never seen.
Wow.
But the Anatole Litvak one, and Samantha Eggar is terrific in it. Oliver Reed is wonderful as per usual. No, it's a real find. It's a real find. I'm talking about starting kind of inspired a little bit by like the Twilight Time Blu-rays. I'm talking with Sony about coming out with a Blu-ray line.
Whoa!
All right.
Nice.
Some of their from their catalog, and one of the ones we want to start off our run with is A Lady in a Car with Glasses and a Gun. I think it would be called Tarantino Archives.
Love it.
Oh God, I hadn't even. I hadn't thought that. Yeah, but when they did The Brood, that there was like a reunion.